So what's going on with this Samsung S95B? So the rumour is that Samsung has released an update for the S95B TV that has absolutely ruined it. As much as that sounds like something that's completely ridiculous and a smart company would never do, apparently it's true, and that's what's happened. Now, I have got the S95B, and I did my sort of first impressions on it literally on the end of last week. And at that point, I had already updated to this new update, and all of my first impressions were of the TV right now, as you can see it. And I still had some pretty positive thoughts about it, to be honest. Not seeing what it was like before is obviously giving me a false positive of what this TV is like. But what I sort of wanted to do was open up a conversation with you guys as to what's going on, so that people who haven't bought this TV yet can sort of get an idea as to what this TV is like to buy as of right now. And for those of you that have bought this TV and have had it and have had this update, what has that been like for you? And apologies for the settings today. It is currently the middle of our summer heat wave, and it's meant to be 40 degrees or something ridiculous, and I'm absolutely melting. So I'm sat outside in the shade while my office is on fire. And the only way I'd actually be able to record in my office is with the fan on and me sitting in the nude. And I don't think any of you want to see that. So I'm sat out away from the kids in the shade in the garden, and I'm still absolutely melting. So let's get a brief history of what actually has happened with this TV. So Samsung released this TV, and it was the most eye-catching, brightest thing you've ever seen in your life. It burns us! And people were going absolutely nuts for it. And then after some of the smarter people who actually know something about TVs, like Vincent from HD TV Test, we actually started realising that these settings weren't necessarily very accurate. As much as they were bright, it was like, well, it doesn't actually look like how it's intended to look. It's not a good TV, it's just a eye-catching TV. Now ultimately that is personal preference, and ultimately I love Vincent from HD TV Test just as much as the next guy, but accuracy isn't necessarily, for most people, the most important thing. So if you want your TV to look punchy, then actually it looked really good. So then they updated it and they made it a bit more accurate, and some people complained about them making it a bit more accurate because it lost that sort of punch that it had initially, but it was still looking amazing and everyone was raving about it. And most people said actually it is now better now that we have the better accuracy, but also still the amazing brightness and stuff like that. But what Samsung have appeared to do now is take away the brightness.
What have you done?
So they took away the punchiness and they took away the brightness, and now we're left with what people are saying is just a normal OLED. And I haven't done my full review of this TV yet, and I will get on to do that. But what I thought I'd do is explain some of the reasons why this might have happened, and also sort of reiterate some of my impressions, considering I've only seen it after this update and what I think of it. So what has happened? Why has Samsung decided to do this update? Well, there could be a few reasons. What you do have to remember is this is brand new technology that we're only just seeing hit the market. And not only is it brand new technology, it's new technology that's being brought to us by a company that hasn't done these TVs before, ever. This is Samsung's first proper OLED to compete with the big hitters LG and Sony. So the fact that we got a half decent TV at all is, I mean, that's a massive thing. The fact that this was blowing the other companies out of the water, I mean, is it too good to be true? It seems that it might have been. Now personally, I can think of two reasons why this might have happened. One's a bit tinfoily and the other one is probably what it actually is. I'll start with the tinfoily one.
It's a conspiracy.
Some people have been saying, and rumours have been circulating, that in order to extend the amount of sales they can get, they want people to be buying the Sony as well, because Samsung are supplying Sony with these TVs. So in order to sell the most TVs they could possibly make, they need to make their TV worse to sell more Sonys to make the market more competitive. And as much as I can see how people might have come to that conclusion, I think that's just completely wrong. It doesn't make any sense to me. Samsung are going to make more money from their own TVs than they would from Sony selling their panels. They will make bonus money from Sony, but they're not going to risk people going out and buying LGs just in case they might get a couple of upticks in Sony sales. That doesn't make any sense. So what I think the actual reason for this change is probably a longevity one. Now, if you're watching this and you know anything about OLEDs, you know people are always going on about burning. And this is the first TV where I've not really seen anyone talk about burning. And I know it's a new TV, so no one has an old Samsung OLED that's got really horrendous burn-in. Obviously, they don't have that because there's not been one. But you have to remember, OLED TVs' biggest con is burning. That the OLED TVs will degrade over time and the picture will get worse because you're just burning into organic material. And QD-OLEDs are still that same organic material, so you're still going to get burning on these TVs. Now, not only that, these TVs are considerably brighter than the other things on the market, like the C2. So the fact that they're outputting this massive brightness on a TV that's brand new, it's brand new technology, they've probably thought, oh my word, these TVs aren't going to last 2 years, and it's going to completely discredit us as a company if these TVs don't last 5-6 years and they get burning really quickly. And the last thing they're going to want to do is come out next year with a dimmer TV that's worse than the TV they sold before because they know the burn-in's going to be an issue. So I just think it's probably a massive mistake from Samsung where they've output these TVs at too high a brightness.
Whoops.
And they've shot themselves in the foot because it's not sustainable. The TVs are going to get burning if they keep outputting at this for a considerable amount of time. But the only way they can fix it is by lowering the brightness. And that's just going to upset all of the people that have heard how bright these TVs are and suddenly they're not bright, or the people who've bought one of these TVs that was bright and now isn't bright. So everyone is a loser in this situation. Now, this is another thing that, especially in the tech space, it's always risky adopting new tech.
Who wants to see a demo of glass?
If you've been an early adopter of new tech in the past, you'll probably know that sometimes, and probably most of the time, that tech isn't perfect. And it normally takes 2, 3, 4 iterations of it for them to get it right. I just want to thank this video's sponsor, Aqara. Now, recently Aqara sent me some of their smart home products, and I have to say, they are absolutely fantastic. These products I got sent can actually be used for a very wide variety of purposes throughout your home. We have a smart blind motor that can automatically open and close the blinds at particular times or set times, and you can even use it to match things like sunrise and sunset. You've got a motion sensor with a built-in light sensor, or even a door opening and closing sensor. They can turn on a light if you walk into a room, or it can sense when it's getting dark and turn on an outdoor light. Now, we also have a wireless mini switch that can do a whole array of different functions, things like turning on the TV or starting the robot vacuum. Now, I use this to create a smart home cinema that closed the blinds and turned off the lights and started the TV, and a whole lot more. So if you want to watch that, you can by clicking the link up there. Now, one of the things that is really great is that these gadgets work with Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, but they also work with Apple HomeKit. So you know that no matter which smart assistant you're using in your home, that there'll probably be one that works for you. Now, these gadgets and more from Aqara are available in the link in the description. So if you are interested, head down there and check it out. But back to the video. So the next Samsung QD-OLED will probably be a better, more sustainable version of the one that we've got at the moment, where they probably don't have to keep tweaking it over and over again. And ultimately, as a consumer, you do have to try and be aware that sometimes these new pieces of tech just might not work out. And now, that's not to say that this still isn't a really good TV, because it really is still a very, very good TV. And even though I've only seen it after this nerfed update, I have to say it's still the brightest OLED that I've had. It's still really punchy. The colors look really, really good. Gaming is fantastic. And there are a couple of things that are issues, but it's got absolutely nothing to do with the brightness and the picture. So if you are still looking at this TV, I still do think it is a very, very good option. I just think it sort of got a bit overhyped when they first released it. But ultimately, those are just my thoughts, and I really want to hear what you guys have to say. So comment down below and let's get a conversation started about this and about what the ramifications will be long term for Samsung. And click over these videos here to see some of my first impressions of this TV and what it's like for gaming. And I'll see you in the next one. Whoop!